Thank you so much, Samuel. Much appreciation for the introduction and welcome everybody. Good afternoon. I hope you're all doing very well. Um, yes, we have a new course. It's fully available on the AfriHealth LMS and it allows people to go through all of our content self-paced. So I just have a couple slides and then I'll do a quick live introduction of the course. And I'll start by taking a little bit of a step back for those who aren't familiar with Stripe or would like some more information. Um, we have a very small team at UCSF. There are four of us, Deborah von Zinkernagel, our project director, Melissa Pashek, our project coordinator, myself, the manager, and David Sears, who's our curriculum and training specialist. And the four of us do a lot of paperwork and a lot of emails, and we have hundreds of partners across the continent who help us actually do the work and do the trainings. And obviously, AfriHealth is a big partner for us, supporting us with the LMS and our courses online so that our training materials are available. We have a couple of very specific priorities, and one, we just want to strengthen that clinical capacity, ensure that everyone who's in the field can support patients with HIV, know how to care for them, and know how to work together to really support that patient. We also really want to ensure that we're empowering providers with person-centered care, understand how to do that, and helping to reduce that stigma and discrimination, particularly that can come with an HIV diagnosis. And we want to secure sustainability and impact for our partners, ensure that we're working with them to really make sure that Stripe supports what they're trying to achieve. All right, a little bit of, a couple numbers just to identify what we've accomplished over the past few years. So we have 29 medical, nursing, and health institutions who we've directly partnered with, and then over 850, they have partnered with over 850 academic, clinical, government partners, training partners, and clinical sites, pulled in learners from tons of clinics across their respective countries. So we've really had quite an impact, and I have a 4-page partner map if anybody would like to see it to identify everyone who we've worked with or pulled learners from for trainings. We've capacitated just over 1,600 people as facilitators and trained just over 16,500 learners. And these are people who are pre-service, still going through their education, or post-service. So they're working in the field, perhaps they're a little newer, perhaps they've been working for 10 or 15 years, and are just kind of, empowering their skills and their confidence. Um, we've had a little bit of an impact in 17 countries across the continent, and hopefully that continues to expand as our partners continue to partner with others. Just a couple of quotes. As I said before, there are four of us and we're very much behind the scenes. And so we love it when our partners can send forward quotes and pictures, so we can really see, feel a little bit more of the impact that we're having. And so I'll just quickly read the quote on the left, who was a nurse and they participated as a learner and they were working in Uganda. So working as an interprofessional team has made the greatest difference. Normally, every health worker is focused on completing their tasks. However, the training has enabled us to learn together and after collaborate to identify root causes of the low performance of the indicators and collectively come up with solutions. We will use the same approach to address other challenging indicators. So not only are we supporting, the skills and the knowledge and the confidence of individuals to provide patient-centered care and to support patients, but we're also really working on trying to instill moments of quality improvement. How do I make something better for my patients in my setting? And interprofessional collaboration, ensuring that you're working together as a team. You all know what your role is in supporting a patient. And we've found that learners and facilitators so far have really appreciated and improved their own care based off of these skills. All right, so getting a little bit more concrete into what Stripe HIV is. So we have created so far 24 modules to support a patients with HIV or at risk of HIV. These are now all available on the AfriHealth LMS through a singular course. Each module is about 90 minutes to about 2 hours, depending on how many links you want to click on and how many resources you want to dive into. They're all case-based workshops, so meaning that there is a case central to the module, a person who you're trying to support. And so you learn more about them through the course of the module and how to care for the needs that they have. We also include a lot of interprofessional activities, ensuring that people understand the roles of each profession who's supporting this patient. You know, a doctor, a nurse, a lab tech, somebody who's working in the pharmacy, they all have a role and importance to supporting patients. So we have a wide variety of modules that are all available now on the AfriHealth LMS. There are two different ways that you can go through this course. First is we're allowing people to go through it self-paced. So you're an individual, you just might want to kind of brush up on your skills and your knowledge for patients. And so you're welcome to go through the modules at your own pace. You would do a pre-post quiz, you would complete the self-paced activity, and then you would complete the post-module quiz, just so we can get a little bit of pre-post data. There won't be facilitators, so people helping you through the content, but I think our self-paced activity walks you through the content of the module pretty well. Roger will present after me and will identify how you can enroll into the course. People can also use the course or access the material as a facilitated group. If you are part of an institution or a clinic and you would like to facilitate many of your trainees to go through the course together as a group, that's amazing. You're welcome to do that. You should identify a couple people who will be nominated as facilitators to ensure that everyone going through is completing the pieces that they need to complete, have questions, and do some workshops together as a group. And again, just connect with Roger, Lawrence, to identify how you should enroll that group into the course. All right, so with that, I'm going to do a little bit of a live demonstration just to walk you through the course specifically. Hold on just a second as I reshare my screen. All right, so once you've enrolled onto the AfriHealth LMS and you've received instructions from Roger on how to enroll into our specific course, this is what you will see. At the top is the title of the course, and we have each of the modules underneath with these carrots allowing you to open and close sections as you walk through. In addition, and I find this really helpful, on the left-hand side, there is a menu for all the course content. So if you have something open and you're a little confused, you can always use this menu on the left to navigate through the course site. So we have a section, it's called Start Here. So we would like everyone who first enrolls to please start here. We have a consent survey. Anyone who uses this course, we'd like you to complete this consent survey. Essentially, we are a training program, and so we like to gather information on how you're using the course and the scores that you've received so that we can ensure our material is prepared for you, is accurate to what's happening. And so we just want you to acknowledge and understand that we will be gathering data from everyone who uses the course. Everything will remain anonymous. We will not print or identify individuals or emails anywhere, but we do need to access the training outcomes to make sure that our program is hitting the goals that we're trying to achieve. So after you complete that consent survey, you should also open up and go into the overview. This section is a little bit of information of the STRIPE program as a whole and the big picture of what we're trying to achieve, and also has a lot of resources for you specifically on how to use the course and guides for specific components. So one thing we do need you to do also is the STRIPE HIV registration survey, which just gives us a little bit of demographics. Who are you? How long have you been practicing, or are you currently doing education, how many people have you supported with HIV, those kinds of questions. Again, all of this will remain anonymous. Once you've completed it, you'll see there's a nice, lovely, obvious green check mark done right next to it, which is really satisfactory in my opinion. We also have several resources in this section on how to use the course, how to use Zoom, instructions for different components in case those are helpful for you as you run through the course. So once you complete the consent survey and once you complete the registration survey, then all the module content will be available to you as a learner. And I'll run through module 1. Almost all the modules are presented in a very similar pattern, so we'll just run through one of them so you understand the components of each of them. So at the top, we have the title. So this module is focused on new HIV diagnosis and ART initiation in a woman of childbearing age. And the goal for this module is listed below. We'll then have a quick blurb on the case for this module. So the person that we are trying to support over the case of learning for this module. So in this case, it's Blessing, a 24-year-old woman who comes to the HIV clinic to receive HIV positive results and further management. She presents for post-test counseling. So she's there to receive some more information and has intentions to eventually start a family and currently cannot afford to work. So that's a little bit of the patient who you learn about before we get going. Before you learn anything, you should complete the pre-knowledge quiz. This helps us just gauge, generally what is the knowledge and confidence that people start this module with. Again, once you'll complete it, you'll have a nice green check mark done right next to it, which is lovely. As a self-paced learner, you should then complete activity 1.1, the self-paced activity. For each module, this activity number will increase. So it'll be 2.1 for module 2, 3.1 for module 3, and always called the self-paced activity so you know it's the same for each module. When you click on the title, it'll take you to another page and you'll click the green enter button. And it'll take just a second to load. It is a little bit of high content. And of course, I've already completed it because I wanted to make sure everything worked for this session, but we'll start right at the beginning. Let me just reload. All right, so start with the introduction. And this self-paced content is fairly self-explanatory. You kind of keep rolling and reading and clicking and completing activities as you go. So we start again with the same goal of the session, and they highlight the 7 learning objectives that we'll complete for this module. Each learning objective will have activities associated with it. So then we click to go on to the next session. And so now we're going to review our first learning objective, recognizing the psychosocial effects of a new HIV diagnosis. And we re-meet Blessing again, and then we have a quick reflection question to answer. So in this case, what are the psychosocial effects of receiving a new HIV diagnosis? One item could be fear of stigma. And so in your section, you write fear of stigma and click on feedback. Or anything else that you can think of, type in your response and it'll receive a little bit of feedback. And that's pretty much how this self-paced activity works. You keep clicking to move on to the next section, focusing on a specific learning objective, and then going through the activities, questions to support that learning objective. As you go through this self-paced module, there might be links to additional materials which are helpful for you. And of course, at the conclusion of each module, and I'll just skip to that now. Sorry, it's taking a little second. It will also kind of reiterate all the learning objectives you learned and list out all the references which were used to build out this module, and they should have links to each of them, so you're welcome to access them, download them for your own future reference. Once you've completed the self-paced activity, you click on the black exit course survey, and then click exit activity, and this will take you back to that main course screen. And so that means I have completed activity 1.1. and then I can continue on and complete the post-knowledge quiz for Module 1. In addition, we'll have a folder for additional learner materials, which includes a couple of items which may be helpful as you go through some of the module content. It may include tables or references as needed. You'll notice that I skipped over this activity 1.2, the workshop. These activities are really focused on for people who are going through the course as a facilitated group. If you're in a facilitated group, there'll be some part of the module on which you'll do an activity or multiple activities together. And this section will include learner materials as well as facilitator materials, excuse me, to complete that workshop. So that's it for what a module looks like. So these modules all have a very similar structure. We've tried to make them look exactly the same so that you can review them together. Once you've completed a module, you've done the pre-course survey, you've done the post-course survey, you've run through the self-paced activity. If you click on this final section, it's called the post-course survey and certificate section. This is where the certificates for each module will be available. First, you'll have to complete this post-course learner survey. This just gathers feedback for us on what worked and what didn't work in the course for you. We do review this every couple months just to make sure that everything is kind of up to date, things are working well, and to see where we may be able to improve for the future. And if you scroll down, you'll see that Module 1 is now available for me to download, and that's because I've completed the post-knowledge quiz, and I have completed that post-course survey, which is listed at the top. Whenever, just for reference, whenever you're going through the course and you notice you can't click on it, for example, this certificate Module 2 is in black text, it's not a link, I can't click on it, there'll be something identified below as to why it's currently locked. And so, for example, I haven't completed the post-knowledge quiz yet for Module 2, but I have done that for Module 1. So you can see that it's green, it is a link. When I click on it, I can then click View Certificate, and it might take just a second to load. A little bit more than a second. But it'll get there. It worked for me yesterday. And my certificate of achievement is here, identifying who I am, what I completed, and when I completed it. And then you can just click the download button to download that. And so you will be able to receive a certificate for each module which you complete. So that is the course site. I'm going to stop sharing and share back to my slides. I just have one or two more. So just a friendly reminder to register. Roger Lawrence will be presenting after me and provide a little bit more information. But first, you always need to enroll into the AfriHealth LMS. And here is a QR code for the site. And the website is up here. And then Roger will provide specific instructions on how to register for this course or other courses on the LMS you may be interested in. And so thank you again. Thank you to everyone who has been here. We, of course, thank our hundreds of partners and our several funders to ensure that this project can continue. And so feel